Hey everyone, welcome to Coach on Command. My name is Arron Littleton, and I'm the head coach of the Gymnastics Sports Center, two-time AGA champion, and your host for this hour of excitement and wonder. So, as always is the case, I'm here with a panel of we're gonna say experts. We're gonna say experts on gymnastics, on parkour, on acro, and we are going to go down the line and we're gonna let them introduce themselves. We do have a guest here, a first-time guest with us. How very gangster of you. We have Braden Milbern here. So, Braden, why don't you go ahead and tell the people who you are?
I'm Braden. I am the gymnastics tumbling coach.
I'm Kaegan. I may be a doofus, but Braden is at least 3.
My name's Coach Tracy, and this might be my most shocking intro.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, okay.
The worse it is, the better it is.
That's actually fair. Okay, I agree with that one.
All right, so that will serve as our intro, getting into the main show here tonight. So one of the most necessary evils in this line of work in coaching is training not the children, but training your staff, training your coaches. And no matter how great you are, or maybe how great you think you are, no one can do the litany of work that's needed to progress a successful program all by themselves. It just cannot happen, especially if you want to have multiple students and multiple classes going at the same time. Everybody needs some help. And so, no man is an island and no coach is either. And so you need competent, capable coaches around you. And you, my friend, I hate to tell you, are probably going to have to build them yourself. And so I thought, what better topic to have on tonight's show that is featuring two of the most obnoxious people I have ever trained. Tonight we are going to talk about coaching the coaches. We are going to talk about training. So first of all, tonight we have, what did you find to be the most successful methods when you were training as a lower level coach, Braden?
Well, what he did with me is he threw me into the deep end and helped me learn to anticipate what the others are going to do. You got to be there for them.
The most successful thing that I found when I was being trained, and I was trained by a couple people at a time, they were very understanding that I am very stupid. They very much understood that I understood nothing. And even if you told me directly what to do, I would still be, huh? And it was very nice that they helped me through that.
I didn't really have a lot of other coaches to look up to whenever I first got started. There were other coaches available, but very few really knew parkour. And the others around me, I didn't feel like were focused on training me as a coach, but more focused on training other students to become parkourists. But I asked a ton of questions, ask questions all the time, try to figure out, can you teach me what to look for? If someone's throwing a back tuck, how do I spot them? Is this a good method? How do I control them while they're in midair? And so basically asking a lot of questions, being genuinely interested in the sport and wanting to learn more is how I developed as a lower level coach.
And I think that's a really good answer and a good, jumping off point for what I'm going to say. And number one, I think it's important to note that I got really lucky because I had Mr. Cronin, and he wanted to train me. He was the owner of the gym. He wasn't a coach that was over me, and so he had a vested interest in me learning to coach just as much as I wanted to learn. And so not only did he want to train me and do so, but he also facilitated my learning. I got to go to Bella Caroli's camp, and that's not even a thing that happens anymore, but essentially, Team USA camp at the Team USA facility down there in Huntsville in the middle of the woods. You have never, it's right next to Camp Crystal Lake for those of you who are Friday the 13th aficionados. But yeah, so it's way out in the boonies there, but I got to go for a week and hang out with a bunch of coaches from Europe and listen to them and all of that. And so Mr. Cronin was big all around, making sure that I had what I need to be successful as a coach. I will say also that a lot of gyms do have upper level staffs who are unwilling to teach, and I think that's really kind of it's not a good thing when that happens, and so I always knew whenever I had come basically from the bottom, and so I knew whenever I had learned stuff that it was my job, that it was my duty to facilitate the next group of coaches so that we could continue to grow. I knew that I couldn't do it myself. So the other thing is that if you do have coaches who are willing to teach you, if you are lucky enough to do that, because not everybody does, like I just said, but you've got to listen. Be there early. If they're coaching, you should be there. Now, don't be obnoxious, but ask them, hey, do you mind if I hang out and listen to how you're coaching? Ask a bunch of questions, just like Tracy said. All of those things are tremendous ways for you to learn how to how to coach and better yourself. And I think that somebody will take you under their wing if they notice how much you really want to learn. And the thing is, like I said, not everybody is lucky enough to have those coaches who are willing to teach. So if you don't have those coaches in your gym, then just watch Coach on Command every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we will help you out. So there you go. Shameless plug. Shameless plug of the show.
Plug into your own podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. So, second thing is, so now you have grown up, whether figuratively or literally, and you are now one of the higher level coaches in the gym, and so now you are not necessarily being trained as much, but you are training those underneath you. And so what are some successful methods that you've used to train the staff under your charge, or maybe what are some possible pitfalls that you need to be ready to deal with some of your staff members? All right, Braden.
I mostly use example because I'm not the best at words, so I try to show them what they need to do and how to spot it. That usually helps them. Pitfalls, I guess make sure you don't fall through the floor.
I find that there's not really a method to training your coaches. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You need to figure out what works for you and the person you're working with. Because if you have a mutual understanding of each other and each other's expectations, it's probably going to go a lot better than just do this, do that. It works a lot better if you workshop what's going on.
One method that I like to use is follow the leader. And I mean that in a more literal sense in this case. I will do something, for example, spotting. I will spot, and then I will show them, you do the same thing. Now your turn to spot. This is what you do. Teach them what to look for during the spot. Show them this is how you put your hands. This is how you control them. The best place is typically the center of gravity for whoever you're trying to control. This is where you put your arm to give yourself leverage. All those sorts of things. Hey, make sure your footing is well done so you have leverage and you don't fall over trying to hold someone up. I feel like that works out usually pretty well. Not everyone's very receptive to that. And I would say that that's the case because some people lack confidence, especially suspending someone in midair. Not everyone believes that they have that strength. And if you have a good technique, you honestly need a lot less strength, especially with younger kids.
Luckily, I'm a big one, and so strength was never an issue for me. I was chucking kids through the air for day one, but yeah, and so I'm gonna do this question backwards, and so the pitfalls that I find are, and Kaegan kind of oddly touched on it earlier when he was talking about you've got to, so you say things as a coach, and so I've been doing this 12 years. I say that all the time, but sometimes I say I've been doing it 14 years. So you've got things that you've learned throughout your career. Maybe somebody said them to you, and so you kind of repeat them and refine them or whatever. But they make sense to you, and so you're like, do this thing. This is how you were supposed to be doing it. And it makes sense to you, but you have to be prepared for the people who you are working with. They will be extraordinarily bad at this in ways that you cannot foresee. And you're like, I told you to go over there and do this thing. How much more clear can I be? But to them, it doesn't make any sense. And so there's a communication divide, I think, when you're first teaching people, and you've got to understand that that may be the case, and you've got to be able to communicate something as somebody who is going to be communicating more. That's something that you've got to really work on, are your communication skills and being able to tell somebody to do the same thing a multitude of different ways, because everybody learns differently.
One thing that I would say is right on to your point, and that's a lot of things that people forget about as they grow more knowledgeable about a skill. There's 4 boxes of knowledge. You have the things that you know, the things you don't know, the things you don't know that you know, and the things you know you don't know about. You know, I might have said that backwards, but you get the point.
I was going to say, I'm super impressed that you got through all that.
Anyways, the point is, there are things that you forget that you know, and sometimes when trying to explain to someone, oh yeah, you just do it like this, there are nuances to the things that you've just told them that they don't understand those nuances yet. And those are things you forget that you need to explain because you've done them so many times, they're just second nature, and feel like that's just part of the program. I don't understand how anyone else doesn't know that, because it's muscle memory for me. So sometimes trying to remember those small details that someone that doesn't already know would know about.
Yeah, no, it's kind of in a lot of ways like giving somebody a level 50 Charizard and being like, all right, you got 2 badges, go ahead, knock it out. You know, and you know, the Charizard's not going to listen to you. You don't have enough experience yet, and that's you know, that's kind of the same thing. And yeah, I see that a lot, because, and I think the other thing too is you forget how long and arduous a process it was for you to learn what you were trying to learn in the first place. You know, and so you're just like, obviously it just makes perfect sense to me because I've had time to refine my knowledge of this, and I've had time to refine the way that I teach it, and so it just makes perfect sense to me, but to other people it may not. And so that's one of the hardest things I think to oversee, is that, yeah, they will be extraordinarily bad in ways that you cannot understand, and you've got to kind of got to see over that hill and be able to know that that's going to be the case. Now, as far as successful maneuvers, I will say that there's any number of ways that you can train your staff, but I find that there are a few universal things that you can do to kind of help the process along a little bit. And number one is you've got to stay on top of them. And what I mean by that is you cannot just simply give somebody a task. And so at the gym, we obviously have bathrooms. There's bathrooms everywhere. And I will say, go stock the bathroom. After showing them at least 2 or 3 times how to do this, how I want it done. And then you go in there and you're like, okay, well, maybe there's a toilet paper roll here. Yay, maybe we got that one, but the trash hasn't been taken out. There's the soap that everybody always forgets about. So there's a multitude of things that you, as somebody who has a lot of nuance in your understanding of what's going on, that they were like, oh yes, they're more like cavemen. Me go do clean bathroom. Me clean bathroom, ta-da. And it's like, you're just like, bro, all of this stuff is not done. How can you possibly think that this is finished? And so you've got to stay on them, and you're always refining them. And that's part of what I've had to do with these 2 knuckleheads, is you tell them something to do, and then they do it wrong. You've got to stay on them. You've got to give them enough. You've got to give them enough rope to hang themselves, and then once they've tangled themselves all up in this rope, you've got to go release them and let them know what they could do a little bit better next time to help and not end up in the same predicament. And so that's number one. And I've said this before with gymnasts, but you've got to teach them about the details. Everything matters. And so Mr. Cronin would go nuts. He would go nuts over a million different things in the gym if they were done in a way that was not pleasing to him. And so one of which is when you plug something into an extension cord, you kind of pretzel the lines together and then you plug it in so it doesn't just get undone. And he would spend every Thursday during cleaning just going around and plugging up cords like that. And so that's the way he wanted it done. And so you this is going to, you've got to be ever vigilant, and it's going to require a lot of perseverance. It's going to require a lot of energy to try to get these people to do what you want them to do. But you've got to oversee everything that they do, and you're always constantly making adjustments, and there's always levels. And once they hit a new level, you're trying to drag them up to the next level and drag them up to the next level. And so it's a very percussive process, which I said, I believe on the last episode or one of the last ones, that percussive process means that you beat something until it works properly. and that's basically what you have to do with your staff in a very nice, loving, but also firm way. And then lastly, piggybacking off of that last question, what are some of the expectations you have for the staff? Obviously, you set the tone, just like with the kids. If you were the person who's in charge, you're the person who's accountable for what's going on. You set the tone. And so you've got to have expectations, or this whole thing is going to fall apart. You can't just let them get away with whatever they want. And so you can't let the inmates run the asylum, as it were. And so what are your expectations for the staff that you have while you're training them, Braden?
Okay, Warden. Well, I expect them to look at what I'm doing, take that into their minds, and actually keep it in there so that they can use it. But that doesn't always work all the time, so I have to jam it back into their brain, like always.
First of all, I don't expect them to do this, but I'd really like them to. Genuinely listen and take into account what I have to say. I'm a coach for everything. I probably know a couple of things. Not a lot of things, but probably some decently important ones.
I'd say I definitely want to see attentiveness. If I'm trying to explain something to them, but their eyes are wandering all over the place and they have no interest in what I'm saying, why are they here? Why are you here? You know, and that goes along with my second point, eagerness to learn. Someone who's eager to learn about the sport or whatever it is that you're trying to do, they're going to be attentive. And I understand, everyone can have a bad day. I'm not talking about a bad day. I'm talking about a consistently bad mindset. That's something I don't want to see. I would much rather see genuine interest, I would say.
If they're inattentive, I think that they're probably staring at your Pikachu hat.
That's a pretty good point.
There are some acceptable parameters. I walked into the gym today, and Kaegan looks at me and goes,
In the middle of
in
me
the
talking.
middle of a speech.
That's true.
All right. So there are several, as you might imagine, expectations I have of the staff that I'm training. And you can see the benefits and rewards that are sitting here before you. And number one is you've got to care. And I think that Mr. Cronin said it best when he said he cannot teach you to love the children. And so you've got to, it doesn't matter how great a coach you are. If you don't like children, then you know, there's not a lot that you're going to be doing in this sport. So that's number one. Number two is show up, and that in this day and age, I think is probably the hardest one. It's so hard to get people to show up and care about anything that they're doing, anything that is not like super gratifying to them in the immediate moment, and then learn. At least try to learn. Ask questions. If you don't care, then fake it. You know, pretend like, oh, what, back hip circle? That's the most interesting thing I've ever heard. You know, it's like, I mean, whatever. But it's like, I do expect you to have some penchant for learning and want to know more about the skill. And this one is really kind of the linchpin of this whole thing, and that is work hard. You've got to have a work ethic. You've got to have a good mindset, like Coach Tracy said earlier, about wanting to put in the work and knowing that it's not going to be the most easy thing in the world, but this job is very rewarding, you know, on its own. And last thing is, and I tell the kids this all the time too, it's like, want to be 1% better than yesterday. And so if you can do that, you're always moving forward. Maybe you're not clipping along, but, you know, you get a little bit better every day, and that will put you on the road that you want to go down for sure. And so lastly, we have the randomly strong opinion of the day, and we are going to go back to ranking 5 random objects. And Kaegan today has come up with our list, and so I'm going to let him set this up.
First item, goldfish. Second item, the number 5, hot water. T-shirt, and a red light.
All right, number 1 is the t-shirt, because this is the comfiest way to dress for almost any occasion. Love it, okay? Number 2 is hot water, because telling someone that they're boiled hot dog water is a great diss, okay? Excellent way to tell someone that they're awful without telling them they're awful. Number 3 is the letter 5. And I say that because, yeah, I know it's a number. Just so everyone doesn't freak out, I said letter 5, okay? Anyways, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it's pretty mid, so I put it at 3.
It is literally mid.
Number 4 is goldfish, because I had to put number 5 in the 3rd place. Goldfish can be delicious. They can also swim around in a bowl, and your wife appreciates them. Number 5 is a red light. It actually shouldn't even be ranked number 5. It should be ranked number not existing. I hate red lights. I get caught by every red light ever. Oh my gosh, so annoying. So, red light, last place.
I gotta put goldfish at number 1. They have some of the greatest healing properties known to mankind. Japanese scientists have actually been experimenting with that to help others. Number 2, yes, I have to agree with Tracy. T-shirts, yes, the most comfortable way to possibly dress. Yes, I'm aware I am wearing a hoodie. There is a T-shirt underneath. Number 3, I'm gonna have to go with red light. You gotta have red lights. You can't always go through green. If you do, you will most likely crash.
Says the person who doesn't drive or have a car.
Okay. Hot water, number 4, because it makes tea. I hate tea. I don't like it. And the number 5 is the number 5 for a reason.
Number 1 for me has to be hot water, because have you ever showered before? That's great.
That's a good point. I like that one. Hey!
Number 2, goldfish. No explanation, just goldfish. Number 3, the number 5. Number 4, t-shirts, because that is all I own.
You're wearing a jacket right now.
Yeah. Anyway, number 5 is a red light. And that's because I sleep with a red light around my room. Like those, you know, those like TikTok lights that like strobe for no reason?
I finally figured out what's wrong with him. He's Jewish.
Tracy is still going in on the Jews, okay?
I'm glad you could take a joke.
I know everybody's been waiting with bated breath for my rendition of the randomly. Quit looking at my script. You can't.
Listen,
Kaegan spends his whole life looking at my script every time I have one.
Stop cheating!
All right, so here we go. Number 1 is the number 5, and the reason the reason number 5 is number 1 is because that is my favorite number. Has always been my favorite number, and the reason it's my favorite number is because when I was growing up in 1841, there was this thing called a television set. The one that had the tube on the back of it. And, and so I would get home just in time to watch either the Cubs or the White Sox on WGN. And so the Cubs came on more than the White Sox did. But for whatever reason, the White Sox became my favorite team, and their second baseman was Ray Durham, and he was my favorite player. So number 5, ta-da, number 5 is number 1. Number 2, I'm going to completely cheat. I'm going to break out of Kaegan's construct that he has done here, because number 2 is goldfish crackers, because they are fantastic. Number 3 is hot water, because it's soothing. I enjoy to take hot showers or whatever in this job after children have ran into me and broke my body all day for 12 years. I enjoy some hot water. After that is shirt. I'm not sure why I put shirt after hot water. Those things. Possibly 3 and 3A. I don't know. Anyway, so t-shirt, yes, t-shirt is comfortable, so I appreciate it. Also, Kaegan writes t-shirt like a psychopath. T-E-E shirt.
Because that's what it says.
No, everybody in the whole world puts a T dash. Do you put T-E-E?
Hey, I didn't even write that, okay?
Number 5 is not goldfish crackers, but regular goldfish. So I put both of them in. Regular goldfish are slimy and icky and non-edible 1 star. So that's why they are number 5.
Goldfish. Why have you just like touched a goldfish before? They're not to touch. You don't pet a goldfish.
Maybe you don't pet a goldfish.
Why are you petting your goldfish?
and then I'm with Tracy. So number 6 in this thing of rank 5. Number 6. So in a way, I agree with Tracy. Red lights should be number 6 of 5, because I do have a driver's license and I do have a car, and they are terrible. I hate red lights. Stops. Nobody likes it. Makes everybody more angry and prone to road rage. And so I think it's a bad thing for America. All right. And so I would like to remind you, if you were enjoying this wonderful work Tracy has put together for you, if you enjoyed Tracy trying to make us make sense on this podcast, then please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we also have an email. And Kaegan,
Kaegan stinks at this.
No, absolutely not.
You can contact us at askcoc@yahoo.com.
Awesome. There you go. AskCOC@yahoo.com. That'll do it for us. We thank you very much for hanging out. We know that you must be a masochist if you're watching this every week. So thank you very much for taking time out of flogging yourself to listen to this. Yeah. So please stay tuned for a panda stuck in a playpen.
And have a flipping great day.
And don't forget to set. Take care.